I'm Emily. I am the HR Director for Europe in IDEO. We're a design consulting firm. We are a global organisation, which is very exciting, headquartered in North America. And the team that we have in Europe, we are based in lots of countries in the UK, Germany, Spain and the Netherlands at the moment. So I work with the European team a lot, but also collaborating with the team in North America.
I've been a geek about all culture type stuff for a long time, and many years ago, like when I was first getting into it, IDEO was one of the companies that I stumbled upon when I was on YouTube, and I just found so many cool things about your brand, your company. So I feel really fortunate. I think this is the first time I'm chatting to someone from the company.
Mm.
So I feel really fortunate that we're having this conversation. Um, the Shaping the people experience is really dependent on the company that you're part of. Could you tell us a bit about what it's like to work there?
Sure. So IDEO are so unique in the way that they focus genuinely on being human centered. And so that's been the very foundation of the business, started 30 years ago. And being human centered has always been at the center of the people experience. So that means that it differs so vastly from being always at the center of business decisions. And it means that the way that we operate, the way that we speak to each other, and the way that we run our systems have always been that way. And it's very different to anywhere that I've worked before and very exciting. I think the other thing to mention as well is that at IDEO you can be anything and you can do anything.
You've already got my mind going, and I might ask you questions that we might cut out depending on how
Yeah.
the answer to them. But you've already got me so curious about stuff. I'm going to jump in. That idea, so you can, what was it? You can do anything or be anything. How does that work alongside the idea that you have a job role and responsibilities and objectives? What happens when what somebody wants to be, that anything doesn't fit in with, like, is there a set job role that people have, and what happens if there's a difference?
So that is a really good question, and very, very central to actually the work and projects that we're doing as a talent team at the moment. So previously, we actually didn't have job descriptions for any roles, and so whilst we have a career framework and some accountabilities that are required of roles, actually this premise that if you wanted to get involved in certain projects, certain internal projects that maybe are not part of your core craft or core responsibilities, that was absolutely fine. And so when I joined IDEO, yes, I had some HR responsibilities, but also I could join a global leadership team focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And any designer could also do that. What's happened now, though, is we as a business realised we're focusing ourselves in so many different directions that actually it was causing an overly complex system, and people were actually feeling that because it wasn't clear what they were actually accountable for and what they needed to deliver, they were over delivering and feeling the pressure, and actually it led to a lot of burnout, a lot of so many amazing creative people doing so many things, but actually what we need to know is what do we need to deliver base on our basic level, and then what's an extra, what's like a benefit, what's a kind of bonus task or project that you could be involved in as well, that's like a passion piece. And so this month, or the last couple of months, we have globally been rolling out job descriptions, which has been a whole process, like learning about what roles are expected to be doing, and also accountabilities for our leadership teams. And we're really hoping that the feedback is good. So far it is. But we're hoping that will actually bring clarity to everyone in terms of what they're doing and what their requirements are.
It would be so interesting to speak. Well, for me, it would be interesting to speak again. Obviously, for you, you're actually doing the work, so that's amazing. But to speak again in a while and see what you learn along the way, because um, it's it's so cool to hear, or I don't know if it's cool, it's like refreshing to hear that an established company has come from a place that hasn't like over structured, because a lot of the startups in the community and scale ups, they don't have legacy stuff, but you've been established for so long and still don't have those legacies. So it's so interesting to see how okay, we identified the challenge, we're going to implement something, and then we're going to see what happens as a result of defining these roles and responsibilities and so on. And like inevitably some people will feel like you go too far, and then how will you get a sense of that? Or some people will feel like you don't go far enough. It reminds me a bit, we did an event at Wise, who were TransferWise, and they talked about the idea of self-driving teams. And the idea is that teams had the freedom to decide what they worked on. And the question was, but what about the coordinating? What happens if you get teams duplicating work? And their view at the time was the cost of coordination is actually greater than the cost of if there's duplication or missed opportunities. It'd be interesting to check in where they are now, but it reminds me of similar, going from a place of one extreme, I don't know if extreme is the right word, but to another. So that's so interesting.
That's a really interesting idea about duplication as well. So I'd love to hear more when you do speak to them about the outcomes there.
Yeah, one of the things I really want to do, I'm working my way up in these podcasts. I'm starting relatively simple with like one person conversations, but I'd love to pick a theme like that and then invite people from different companies to share and discuss, and then everybody can learn. Another theme I'm really keen to hear how you do at IDEO is around well-being and mental health. So a lot of companies are being more conscious about their efforts and what they're doing and how much doing to support people. So if you could share some of the work you've been doing, please.
Coming into this organisation, it's a professional services business, and as I've already touched on, everyone is so passionate and so creative, and so that naturally leads to overtime hours, people being so committed to their work that the overtime happens. And we also have international travel quite frequently, which then leads to different time zones and overtime. And so it was clear that we as a business, and as many other businesses are facing an issue with burnout. So we as a team, we focused on, first of all, establishing a mental health first aid group. So I'm part of that, and we're all trained in terms of thinking about initiatives, thinking of ways to support our community, and being that kind of listening ear for individuals who are facing challenges there. We've also got an implemented Spill, which is a really great app, super cool, like Slack integrated app, super confidential, which provides free support for everyone, and we have, from our usage statistics, we know that that's been a big benefit to lots of our people, and it's been a change management process in that we need to ask our managers, ask our business leads to remind individuals that that's there. But we've had the system and the app now for over 6 months, and we're pretty happy with the way that it's gone. We've also supported training, so had speakers come and speak to our individuals about the topic and how to support and promote self-care. And then we as a talent team, we are always practicing ways of showing our vulnerability and encouraging our leaders to do the same. So in our recent newsletter, we shared a bit about what this means to us personally, and we're really lucky as well that we have leaders one of our leaders kind of had a session to share their individual experience with their own mental health. And so for individuals to see that and to feel that other people may be facing the same things that they are, it's promoted a culture change. And we're not there yet, we're not there where we're having daily check-ins on mental health with every team, but hopefully we can get there one day, and showing that it's okay to talk about it, and that actually we're better as a supportive group.
Yeah, there's some really great practical examples that you shared that others could be inspired from, so thank you. Another big topic, a big theme that our community works on is thinking about, if we're people focused and creating that environment to support people, where does data play into that and support it? So could you share your kind of ethos or approach to how data informs or drives your decision making in your people and talent teams?
Wow, you are really good at being spot on and current with things that we're thinking about at the moment as a team. So we have a strategic operations leader in our organisation. We're very lucky to have her. She's really inspiring. And one thing that she is asking of all operations teams is to be data driven in all of our decisions. And so we have a weekly meeting where we all share a handy insight that's been helpful for the team in order to work that week. And so it's really pushed us to think, okay, what are we doing and what data do we need to prove the viability of this? And there's always a question within HR and talent about proving our value through data. But I found actually there are so many useful statistics out there that aren't that hard to gather. So for example, we use Learnably for our learning and development budgets, and so as part of the L&D process, we can actually see how many people have used or accessed their budgets that are available. So we're halfway through the year at the moment, and so last week the kind of statistic that we shared was how many people have not touched their budget so far this year. And so in order to encourage people to focus on their own learning, focus on their growth, and start thinking about ways that they can enhance themselves. So that's one example. We're also using utilization a lot. So statistics around our people, around our mental health, around spill as well. So that's been really handy. And because we're quite a reactive organisation, we're building strategic planning for the next 5 years, but we're still thinking about the next 3 to 6 months in terms of my mindset at the moment. And so actually thinking about the data and gathering it for the longer term is it's making us think differently, and it's definitely a work in progress, but I'm enjoying it. It's good.
And I can see how the work you're doing around bringing roles and responsibilities and prioritization of what you work on and your work in data probably really go together. I'm curious, do you have a separate team of people that look at the data thing, or is it part of the role? If you now have the new roles, is it part of the roles of the core team?
It's the core team, so it's our work, it's interesting because there is no one kind of providing the insights. We're finding them ourselves, but I think maybe in the future we would think about an analytics team, because it's so useful, and we're seeing that when all of the operational teams, when pushed, are really providing such useful insights to everything that we do.
We've touched on the theme of well-being. So you've shared what's working or appropriate for your company. If somebody is in a different company and they're thinking about doing more to encourage well-being, what would you suggest they look at?
So what I did was actually go and speak to other HR professionals who had implemented, very well developed organizational approaches to well-being. I also spoke to HR professionals who are in a similar industry, so creative or professional services, to understand that the right solution for their business. And so I came up with, I learned some amazing things from those people. So I would definitely say reach out to a network, reach out to the amazing HR people that are out there doing good things, and learning from them.
Yeah, I'm fully with you on the power of community. Okay, next is a key theme, a key influence on the people experience is management. So if someone's thinking, okay, how can I become a better manager? Based on your experience, do you have any tips to offer?
So IDEO is a very unique organisation, and one of our values is empowering others. And I have never seen that core value integrated into every manager's being as much as I have in this organisation. So I say, as a manager, empowering others and like standing up for your team is the most valuable thing. It's building trust, and it's going to bring the best out in your people. I would also say, like in terms of skill sets, that having and learning coaching skills is a really valuable, like really powerful. They say unlocking your potential, and I genuinely believe that and experience that. I know that's two answers, so sorry, but those are the two things I'd say.
No, they're great. Um, so as we start to kind of wrap up this conversation for now, just a few ones to end on. So if we go broad and think about, okay, so we've looked at specific areas, but broadly, in your experience of working and thinking about company culture and people experience, what would you say one of the main things you've learned has been?
Ooh, I've learned that actually some structure is good, and actually some structure brings equitable practices. Um, if you individualize every offering within, within people and culture, it's going to be inequitable, and that's the biggest thing that I've learned. And it's a hard change, and it's a hard thing to learn, but it's really important.
Yeah, that's a really powerful theme. Thank you. So we've now got an insight into the amazing way that you think and the super interesting work that you do. I'm super curious, kind of what has led you to this thinking. So what has been your journey to ending up in this role that you are currently in?
So I have a creative background. I actually studied fine art at university and then moved into supporting creative businesses through their people. And so ever since then, I've spent 10 years like learning about all of the aspects of HR and having that really like generalist, deep understanding of all aspects of the people and culture team. Um, and so I feel that I'm well placed to support creative people and creative businesses because I understand them, but I also have, a thorough HR and employment law grounding in like applying practices and applying, legal frameworks in order to enhance businesses. So it's quite an interesting background and an interesting place to be, but I think it's prepared me really well for like understanding a lot of 360 problems maybe when you're approaching them in an organization, and definitely helps me with solution finding because I understand more of the perspectives that I'm working with maybe.
So now you are both an artist and a scientist. Um, yeah, because your work for me, it feels like art. I can imagine. This has been so great to get an insight into your thinking and also IDEO and what's important to the company. If people would like to follow along with your work, is there a way they can do that?
They can. So we have a LinkedIn page for IDEO that do follow them. They're absolutely amazing and always posting lots of interesting thought leadership pieces. And myself, I'm also on LinkedIn, Emily Cooper FCIPD. So do have a look. I would be happy to connect with anyone out there.